And back again. Another Raiders debacle. Another just Raiders masterclass, sadly. I mean, what a just absolutely bed crapping nightmare for him. Just tough night to watch it. Tough night to watch it. But if you're better like me, if you took my advice, looked at the official From the Backseat locks, you went 2-0 tonight. You made some money. But let's see whoever paid attention to that.
So why even wait for it? Let's just get into the Monday Night Football. Of course, it's on the thumbnail. It's everywhere. We're talking about Raiders versus Chiefs, which just ended on Monday Night Football, literally like 5 minutes ago. So how I thought we'd do this is we'd each get like 2 takeaways that we want to take away the game before we just kind of talk about it generally. So I thought I would lead us off with my first takeaway being Josh McDaniels. Does he know what he's doing?
That's gonna be mine too, damn it.
I mean, every time I watch the Raiders, I'm like, man, what are these decisions? I mean, again, Brandon Staley, and I actually have this written in that we'll probably talk about later, the Brandon Staley 4th down decision. I know that was really bad. It handed him the game, but Josh McDaniels' decision to go for that 2-point conversion might have been worse.
It's close. It's definitely a debate. There's some there's a lot of bad coaching decisions and play calling decisions from this week from both our respective teams and around the league. But yeah, that was a bad call for McDaniels. Because here's the thing. We texted about this in our group chat is like, okay, if you don't get it, now a field goal makes it a 4-point game. You have to get a touchdown. I know the analytics supported it. I didn't even understand the analytics. I would still say no. Just go for the tie right now, at least, because there's still time on the clock.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even get it. I'm still kind of at shock. I don't get the 2 points, especially when you got Patrick Mahomes on the other side. I guess that you're trying to go up, but they stopped him. And then they put themselves in a hole of now they had to go up and won. And Ben is saying that Adams caught the ball. He didn't catch it. He didn't catch it.
He bobbled it. Got to complete the process.
He put the foot down and then the ball moved. He didn't catch it. That was an incomplete. It should have been a catch. And that actually is going to be my second takeaway. But so Josh McDaniels, I mean, I don't even know what to say about him at this point. I mean, now they dropped to 1-4, which basically means they're out of it at this point.
Yeah,
it's really tough sledding.
I mean, I think 2-3, it's doable. 2-3, I still think it's really doable. The AFC is not. Like, it's still figuring itself out in a lot of ways right now. 2-3 is fine. 1-4, I think, is a death sentence. I don't see how they climb back out of it. I really don't. This was a huge opportunity blown tonight if you're Oakland. That's the thing. I mean, I'm sorry, not Oakland, if you're Vegas. Jesus Christ, I would get that. If you're Vegas, because you had 17-0 in Kansas City. You had an opportunity to make a big statement, and you completely floundered it. It makes it tough. 1-4, I don't see him coming back.
Yeah, no, it's really tough. I mean, it's not a good look at all. No, I mean, sitting at 1-4, especially with they got another game versus the Chiefs, another game versus the Chargers. I don't know.
Another game against Denver. I don't worry. Denver sucks. But
Denver, I don't worry about all that much. But I mean, again, they're sitting in a really tough spot. I don't know how much of the NFC West they've played yet either, because they haven't played San Francisco yet. They haven't played the Rams yet.
See, that's the thing, too, I think, when we talk about McDaniels. I just think he gets outclassed by a lot of head coaches pretty easily when you stack up who's left. I don't know who he's going to outsmart a lot. He's more likely to outsmart himself than he is to outsmart an opposing coach. I mean, again, and I told you going into the season, this was my whole thing with the Raiders. I like what the roster is offensively, except Darren Waller's now hurt. I feel like Renfro's been MIA. Adams had 2 big plays, and really outside of that was obsolete. It was Josh Jacobs doing a lot of the heavy carrying tonight. But Josh McDaniels is my biggest concern. It's like, what are you going to do? This is it. So that's all you got.
Yeah. It's really tough. I don't know what they do.
So,
it's not a good look right now.
Not a good look at all. I would say, if I had to give my first takeaway from it, of everything that we watched last night, is just don't bet against Patrick Mahomes in primetime. I mean, it really at any point. I mean, you saw it with Kansas City tonight. I mean, this is a guy that down 17-0. I texted you guys 14-0. I was like, they're still winning this game. There's not a doubt in my mind they're still winning this game because and it came down to I think there's a couple questionable decisions going back to McDaniels. When Oakland decided to kick the field goal to go 17-0, I was like, that was a mistake. You got to go for the dagger. You can't play around with them. So my takeaway is like Kansas City, it's been a known, but if you are up against Kansas City, you have to keep the gas pedal down. You can't outshoot Mahomes. I think in a lot of times it's very rare. It takes an extreme set of circumstances, and the Raiders did not have that extreme set of circumstances tonight.
No, not at all. I mean, it's a bad look where the Raiders are at. I mean, they should have won that game.
They should have won that game. If you're up 17-0, I really don't care where you're at. You have to win that game.
They should have won that game, and they let that one slip through, and now their season is basically over in week 5.
No, I don't know if has there ever been a team that started 1-4 and got to the playoffs? I don't know if there has.
I don't know. I know one 0-4 team that ended up making it to the playoffs, but 1-5. You still don't know why people are down on the Chiefs.
I never understood that either. I think the whole time going into it, you still had Patrick Mahomes. You still had the best coach in the NFL, not offensive-minded coach in the NFL. This team was always going to be good. They're still the class of the AFC West. I mean, I would argue it's close, but not that close. I think as some people might have thought it would be at this point. But yeah, that's just the way it is right now. For Oakland, again, we've talked, not Oakland, Vegas this season, I think is done. I think that's it. I think they probably will kick around. They will probably win a divisional game in there against someone when you really don't need them to. But Vegas, for all intents and purposes, is done because in my mind, I feel like the offense is inconsistent. I feel like everything just about them is wildly inconsistent, and you can't win with that. You need some sort of consistency somewhere, and they don't have.
Yeah, they're just. I mean, the only thing they have consistent right now is Josh Jacobs is playing incredibly well.
He's
playing at a really high level.
But the thing that's crazy about that is he's playing at such a high level, and they still don't seem to be able to open that, which should help them open up the pass game more. It really should, and it doesn't feel like it is right now. Like again, they had 2 huge bombs to Adams, but it wasn't like some sort of massive explosion offensively for the Raiders. I felt like, especially in the second half. I mean, they had the long bomb, and that was just about it.
I mean, they had a lot of weird play calling. Like on that final drive, I get that Josh Jacobs was working, but why are you running the ball? You put yourself in such a tough spot. And then I don't get it on you're at 4th and 1. You've been running the ball so well. I get that it's really close, but why are you trying to heave it deep there?
No, that's another thing. With play calling wise, there isn't some sort of an outlet. There isn't some sort of a dropout. There isn't somewhere we can go short. And then they run into each other. Is there a more Raiders thing to happen than those two running into each other?
I don't know. It was really bad. But I'm going to say my second takeaway because it has to go along with that is Davante Adams does not look as dominant as he did in Green Bay. Davante Adams, right. Well, he still looks good, but in my mind, he is not the best receiver in the league right now. I mean, it could be a usage thing, but Davante Adams in Green Bay probably would have made that catch. And there's probably no doubt in my mind. And it might be Aaron Rodgers is locating the ball better, but I just don't. There's nothing about Davante Adams' game right now where I feel like he's being super dominant. He disappears for large parts of games. He was used early, played really well. Then Derek Carr had to go throw 2 underthrown balls, which I want to address Andrew from Drew Code Sports Talk saying, maybe Carr is doing this intentionally. No, he's not.
No, he's not trying to do that. I think he's more joking, but yeah, he's not trying to do that.
He's not trying to do that. If you actually think that, no, he's not. Again, if Carr was trying to do that, every quarterback in the league would do that.
Yeah, I mean, underthrown PI was a really good friend for Derek Carr tonight.
It was a really good friend. And again, they're the right calls by the rule book, but at some point you got to change the rule book. I mean, what is a defender supposed to do on those?
I don't know. You really have no option. Like, it's too hard to get turnaround. If the guy's completely stopping his tracks.
And the other thing is, like, usually a defender, they're taught to watch the eyes of the receiver, watch as they're about to go up to turn your head. But if the ball is underthrown, their eyes aren't going to go up because it's about to hit you in the back.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense.
Mean, it makes no sense. It's almost just it's unfair. But let's talk about the other huge controversy from the game because we're talking about officiating. The roughing the passer.
Two of the worst roughing the passer calls you'll see all possibly ever this past 2 days. The one in Tampa Bay with Grady Jarrett and Tom Brady was atrocious. And this one was even worse. Not even worse. It was just about just as bad. But it was just like, Jesus, it could not have been worse. It could not have been worse. I don't know how you call it. That's one of the. What are you supposed to do? Defy the laws of gravity? I mean, seriously, he can't keep his body off him. It's just the way it goes. He's getting sacked. He's going down with him. The fact that that call was made, atrocious.
Just a horrible call. Just horrible way to just change momentum, especially in the Atlanta game because it was a 6-point game. You're in the final 2 minutes.
It would have given Atlanta the ball back.
They basically decided the game then and there. I mean, in the Chiefs game, it's bad because it would have been a turnover, but it isn't game deciding. It's still in the first half. That's why I think the Tampa one is a little weird, just because it basically decided the game.
Yeah, it was that was it at that point. It was like, okay, well, it's done. You know,
it's over.
Yeah, I mean, it was still like tonight. The officiating I thought tonight was not great all around. Again, the 2 underthrown PIs. I think the roughing the passer that we had really just a lot of just off calls.
Well, and the missed hold on that final drive.
Missed hold on the final drive. I mean, if they would have thrown a flag on that last play for like pass interference, then you really would have had a complete debauchery because that was 2 dudes just running into each other.
Yeah, the spacing was just way off. I don't even get that play call, to be quite honest.
No, I have no clue on the play calling. I have zero idea on the play calling.
Also, the other thing that I think no one talks about is the Raiders have no check down on like any of these plays. Every time I watch their offense, they never have anyone leaking out. And if they do, it's Josh Jacobs. And Josh Jacobs cannot make people miss in the open field.
No, not particularly well. He's not like super shaky. He's not a guy that's going to make you miss. He's not like, well, on the other side, like I think for Kansas City, they have another good backs who are good at making guys miss, like Jerick McKinnon. I think he does a good job. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire, wherever you think about him, he does a decent job making guys miss in the open field. Josh Jacobs is a downhill runner. He's not a guy you look for out of the backfield.
Yeah. I mean, underrated part of the game is Denzel Perryman got cooked by Travis Kelce in the red zone every single drive.
Why is it even a matchup? You have to put someone else there. You can't have Denzel Perryman doing that. You can't.
You
He's
just got
for disaster.
I mean, if you're actually the Raiders, you should have just put Nate Hobbs on him. I mean, he's like your one good defender.
I mean, it's Roxon Ya or whatever his name is. He's a good guy, but
Rock Ya-Sin,
yeah, my bad. But overall, I truthfully just think the Raiders just do so many things wrong. The Raiders find ways to lose rather than they do to win. It seems like every single year, and this is just them.